Yes, yes. No worries. Right. Yes. Yeah. I think this is good. Yeah. I speak anyway. Louder. I speak loudly, so. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. It's good. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Madhav Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Shira Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Guru Deva 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 Jaya Guru Jai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Dharam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Namaskrityam Devim Taram Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Invati Shrinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vridayantostu Yabhadrani Vidunoti Sahachatam Nashtaprayashu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Slokir Bhaktir Bhavati Vaishnaki Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. We are continuing our discussion on Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 19. So far, we have seen at this point in Srimad Bhagavatam that the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Sonaka Rishi, they meet a very elevated personality, Suta Goswami. Right. Suta Goswami was son of Roma, her son Suta, and Lord Balram, actually, because he didn't respect him properly, he terminated his life with a straw of a blade, grass. So Then he placed his son, Romaharsan Suta's son, Suta Goswami, on the Suta Gaddi. Right now, if you go to Naimisharanya, you will find Suta Gaddi. It's a very important place of pilgrimage. So when the sages met, they were very enthusiastic to hear from Sri Suta Goswami because they knew that Suta Goswami was present like several years back when their discussion between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami happened before Maharaj Parikshit leaving his body. So essentially when they meet, they had many questions, and in particular they were asked this very 6 important question. What is the ultimate good for humanity at large? All right. And then essence of all scriptures, the purpose of Krishna's appearance, and about Purusha avatars, Leela avatars, and they also asked the last question, which is really important for all of us. Like when Krishna left, the dharma left with him. So where do one take shelter after Krishna's departure? So these are a very important set of questions that they asked. And the entire Bhagavatam starts with the answering this question. However, Suta Goswami answers most of the questions in like couple of chapters. The following chapters, those are going to come. So coming to today's verse, which is verse number 19, because they asked the question, they very nicely presented that why did we ask this question? Because we are not satiated. We are not satiated hearing Krishna's pastimes. So when you answer these questions, please make sure that it includes Krishna's pastimes. So therefore, they say that they express this, the no satiation, in a very nice way, in a kind of cryptic way in this particular verse. So we see that Bhagavatam, when it was written or spoken and written by Vyasdev later on, so Bhagavatam is, of course, written in the Sanskrit language. However, the content of the Bhagavatam is called as Samadhi Bhasha. Samadhi Bhasha means Bhagavat was revealed to Vyasdev in his meditation. So this comes in the first canto, 7th chapter, verse 4. This particular verse, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Amale Apashyat Purusham Purnam Maya Chat Apashrayam. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, he writes that in that mind that was undisturbed. So Vyasdev, before writing this latest commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, he already wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. However, even after writing all the literature, he was dissatisfied. So his guru, Narad Muni, he came and said that, you need to meditate. And in your meditation, the Bhagavat will be revealed. And when you present that Bhagavat in that way, that will be a real Bhagavat. And that will give you complete satisfaction. So in the mind which was undisturbed, because it was pure from the performance of bhakti, Sri Vyasdev, he saw Lord Krishna's complete form with all his energies. Krishna is energetic, and Krishna has energies. Without his energies, there's no meaning to it. Right? So Krishna, with his energy, like when we see a moon, we see moonlight. Right? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in the purport of this particular verse, he says, when you see a moon, you see the moonlight. You never say that I am seeing the moon with the moonlight. It is already, when you see the moon, it is already there. Right? So similarly, when Krishna is there, his complete energies, they are all there. And he saw with that his spiritual expansions. And he also saw that Maya, who is also an external energy of the Supreme Lord, has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. But she doesn't want to come in front of us, so she is actually behind him. So, however, that's why the reason is that one has to understand the language of Srimad Bhagavatam. The content of Srimad Bhagavatam is Samadhi Bhasha. It was written in Samadhi of Srila Vyasdev. So it's not like a normal speech. Therefore, our acharyas, especially Srila Rupa Goswami, he explains that Bhagavatam, so he explains in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is his magnum opus literature, which he has written. It's like a manual for all of us. So for all the books Srila Prabhupada has given us, this is one of the most important book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions 64 different principles. And of that, like last 5 are the most essential and the most important. And in that, the first 2 is saying that Bhagavatam should be relished with devotee who has 3 qualities. So this is the verse. Srimad Bhagavatam Arthanam Aswado Rasikahi Saha Sajatiya Snigde Sadhu Sangha Satovare. So these terms like Sajatiya, Snigde, Satovare, these are the qualities of devotee that we must associate with. So what is Sajatiya? Sajatiya is like-minded. The devotee with whom we associate in our life must be like-minded and they must be affectionate. These are the qualities. Of course, they also should be advanced. They should be our well-wishers, so they should be advanced than us so that we can take their shelter. So seeking a proper association is a very critical aspect of our progress in bhakti. So this is what Srila Rupa Goswami is advising, that hear Srimad Bhagavatam Katha in association of devotees and, relish the Bhagavatam. So with this, we'll begin today's verse. And I'd like to seek your association, your prayers and blessings so that my words make sense. Thank you so much. So let's read this verse 1:19. Vayam tu na vipartyatma uttama sloka vikrame yashinvatam rasakyanam swadu swadu pade pade. Vitrapya, yeah, vikrame. Vitrapyamaha. Yeah. Vitrapyamaha. Yashinvatam. Rasagyanam. Swadu swadu pade pade. दिखाई नहीं दे रहा.
Vayam tu na vitrapyama
Uttama sloka.
loke vikrame yashanvatam rasagyanam sadhu sadhu pade pade.
Thank you. Vayam. Vayam means we. Tu, but. Na, not. Vitrapyamaha, shall be at rest. Uttama sloka, the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by the transcendental prayers. Vikrame, adventures, yat, which shrinvatam, by continuous hearing. Rasa means humor. Jnanam, those who are conversant with. Swadu, relishing. Swadu, palatable. Pade pade, at every steps. So Srila Prabhupada translates this particular verse as, we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who develop a taste for transcendental relationship with him relish hearing his pastimes at every moment. Hare Krishna. So each commentators, when they write, thank you. I can't see. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think this is, yeah. So when the commentary is being written by Acharya, most of the time, they are also writing the commentary in a Samadhi Bhasha. Right? So Srila Prabhupada says, my commentaries are my devotional ecstasies. Right? What does it mean actually? Krishna actually guiding Srila Prabhupada in writing commentary. We are practicing devotees, for us, when we write anything, it is from our mental speculation. However, when Srila Prabhupada or Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Srila Jiva Goswami write something, it is actually their samadhi. They are in their meditation. So here, in each samadhi of each of these commentators are different, right? They are shown different things. Even like if you see Ramcharitmanas, Sri Valmiki Muni has written a very beautiful narration of Lord Ram pastimes. However, you will find differences. The principles remain the same, but they are in details you will see difference when Goswami Tulsidas write his Ramcharitmanas, and when other commentators write their Ramcharitmanas or pastimes of Sri Ram. That is because they are shown different things. So here, Srila Prabhupada is mainly focusing on the differences between the mundane literature and the transcendental literature. They are not the same. Why? Because mundane literature is monotonous, boring, and all these things. Whereas spiritual literature, the devotees relish the nectar at every steps. Right? The aswadam, rasa aswadam. They are tasting the nectar at every step. Swadu, swadu, pade, pade. Right? Why? Because it is directly a vision. Like when we are speaking as a beginner in practitioner in Krishna consciousness, when let's say I am speaking, you are hearing. So this sound is actually traveled in 4 different levels. Right? So these 4 different levels, we are just actually touching the very superficial level. Just hearing the words, and it is not entering our heart. Whereas realized soul, when Srila Prabhupada says, I am not this body, I am soul, it actually directly touches our heart. Because Prabhupada himself experiences that he is soul, and he is transmitting that message directly into our heart. So this is what the difference is. That's why hearing from Sato Vare, somebody who is very advanced, is very important. However, we should also continue discussing like this. But whenever we get opportunity, we should participate in hearing from advanced devotees. It's Srila Rupa Goswami's instructions. So I'll quickly read the purport. There's a great difference between mundane stories, fictions, or histories and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contains references to the pastimes of the incarnation of the Lord. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Puranas are histories of bygone ages recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnation of the Lord. Therefore remains fresh even after repeated readings. And yesterday Prabhu was discussing that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear the pastimes of the Lord again and again and again repeatedly, right? But how can somebody, like, you cannot tolerate a joke after 5 times, hearing 5 times. But how can Mahaprabhu, relish that? Because he is experiencing the rasa behind, that is the key thing. And then Srila Rupa Goswami explains that rasa is like a chamatkar. It gives you a real, ecstasy. If the rasa doesn't give you ecstasy, you will give it up. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam repeatedly through this whole life, and yet in them new lights of information is found, right? Mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic, in as much as spirit is dynamic and the matter is static. Those who have developed taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narration. One must quickly satiate by mundane activities, but not is satisfied by the transcendental devotional service. Uttama Sloka indicates the literature which is not meant for nescience. Mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. The transcendental literature is above the modes of darkness, and its lights become more luminous with progressive reading and realization of transcendental subject matters. the so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the word Aham Brahmasmi. So now, among the materialists, the highest kind of materialist, somebody who wants to merge in the body or in the rays of Brahman, of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, whenever Prabhupada gets a chance, he bashes them. So he's saying the so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by repetition of words Aham Brahmasmi. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed, and so to relish real pleasure, they turn into the narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hackneyed means, when you do something again and again, it becomes boring. Right? So that's those who are not so fortunate turns to altruism and worldly philanthropies. This means that Mayavad philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. So essentially, Srila Prabhupada is bringing up these points that the mundane things are basically repetitive and it is static, versus the spiritual thing is dynamic. So this portion. Right. So this is about, and it leads to boredom. The mundane news, like if you see a newspaper, this next day, or not next day, actually after a few hours it becomes like a junk. You don't want to read it again. You have read the news and you can just throw the newspaper. It's like a garbage. But the spiritual thing, you read again and again and again, and you get newer and newer realization. That is the beauty of spiritual subject matters, right? And the most important thing is to associate with advanced devotees, because once I heard this from His Grace Burijan Prabhu, that, and probably this will be covered later also, that when devotees, when they read any subject matter, when they dive deep into the ocean of bhakti, right? So bhakti rasamrita sindhu, right? Sindhu is ocean, like and when devotees dive deep into the ocean of bhakti, they find different pearls. Right? So let's say all of us are sitting here. When we dive, you get one pearl, I get another pearl, and then we all come out and show us each of the pearls. Okay, I got this one, I got this one, and we relish, right? Each other's pearl. So similarly, in association of devotees, when we come, they have a certain realization, and when we associate with them, they share their realization, and we appreciate their realization. Everyone has a different realization, right? So this is where to. We cannot say, "Oh, mine is the best." Everyone's is good. So therefore, we have to relish those transcendental things. So here, as Prabhupada says, that advanced devotee never get tired in transcendental narration and continuously reveal new and newer things, and then those devotees can relish. So this is the difference which Srila Prabhupada is presenting in his purport. Now different acharyas, for the same thing, the same verse, they have different realizations. So now we will see the realization of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives little bit more different kind of insights. And he is a Rasika Acharya, so he always presents his purport from the Rasika point of view. So first he is defining who is Uttama Sloka. Right? So he is defining the qualities of Srimad. Uttama Sloka is Lord Krishna, and he has immense amount of different qualities. In particular 64. Among that 64, the last 4, right? Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, right? So those, because of those sweet qualities, devotees get attracted to him, those transcendental sweet qualities. And Uttama Sloka is supreme fame. He's saying, he who has fame and qualities are supreme. Right? He who is glorified by the best of the devotees and the sages. Actual meaning of this is, Uttama Sloka is, he who is glorified by the best of the devotees and sages. And also when devotees hear these nectarian qualities, they relish, they endlessly relish. So first he defines who is Uttama Sloka, and that Uttama Sloka is Lord Sri Krishna in Vrindavan Dham. Then he talks about the unquenchable thirst, because here the last word is swadu swadu pade pade. Right? If you see the theme of the verse is that we are never tired. Right? In this instance, in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, it will come later, he's saying that we are, oh yeah, actually it is in this slide itself, that we are fully satisfied by the yoga and the spiritual sacrifices. Now, if you remember the theme of Bhagavatam going on right now, what is happening is this sadhu, these sages, are in Naimisharanya. They are performing this yajna for last 1,000 years. What was the purpose of performing the yajna? Because they knew, they could see that Kali Yuga is coming. And they see the deterioration. So these are all going to come in the later chapters. The deterioration in the age of Kali, it is going to be deteriorating very fast. And we can see it these days. Right? So the sages, they are so compassionate that they are performing this yajna to help the people in the age of Kali. So they are saying that we are fully satisfied by yoga and spiritual sacrifices. However, in comparison, vayam tu, right? We are never satisfied by hearing Lord's pastimes. Why? So that's going to be addressed now. So they are saying that our desire is to hear those pastimes from your lotus mouth. So therefore, this word vayam tu, we are, normally people are satisfied, but we are not. Tu means but. Right? So in the exception of devotion, in devotion, nobody is satisfied. The ordinary practitioner reaches the plateau, like when we engage in material, fulfilling our material desires, we reach a plateau. And once the plateau is reached, then we don't want to enjoy that. Like for example, if I have to eat gulab jamun or rasgulla, like I love it, I can eat X number. But after that, when my belly is full, I cannot eat anymore. On the other hand, the devotees never feel complete satisfaction in Krishna Katha. They keep relishing. Yes. Now, normally how the satisfaction normally occurs? In three ways. The satisfaction ends to a dead end in three ways. Right? When the quantity is full, like when our stomach is full, our satisfaction level is done. Right? Second way is when we lose attraction for that particular object. And when something is repeated, it is a boredom. Right? Like for example, in the previous, when Srila Prabhupada in his commentary is saying that when the practitioners of devotee who are impersonalism, they repeat like particular verses in their meditation, Aham Brahmasmi. Like that, there are 5 or 7 statements. They meditate upon that. Now they are repeating these statements in their mind again and again. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, like that. But they get bored after some time. So repetition creates boredom. However, we'll see that in our chanting also, we repeat Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If it is monotonous, it will be boring. If it is done mechanically, it will be boring. But if it is done with proper intention, proper knowledge, in association of devotees, the same repetition will become aesthetic. How could Srila Haridas Thakur chant for the entire day? Or how can one chant 64 rounds and still relish and want to chant more? So repetition generally in material sense is boring. However, repetition when engaged in or when it is cultivated in such a way that Krishna is present, then it is not boring. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continues that this sound is like without any substance. Like material sound is without any substance. It's like it's just sound entering, and it produces an illusion of insufficiency, emptiness, and it is compared to an animal lacking appreciation of spiritual rasa. Animals have some kind of rasa when they're eating grass. Yesterday Radhika was eating grass. She was enjoying actually. We could see that. She's enjoying eating the grass. And she didn't want to take grass from our hand actually. She wants to eat with her mouth. No matter how hard other devotees tried, she didn't. So she's enjoying that. And she will actually turn her face. So I was just thinking about that, how she is relishing the rasa of eating grass. But they cannot experience the spiritual rasa, which is only possible in human body. So the sages of Naimisharanya are rasagya. Rasagya means they are knower of the rasa. Srila Rupa Goswami, in Bhakti Rasamrita, he has written an entire section about rasa. Right? There are so many aspects of rasa. Right? So one has to learn that science of rasa. Right? And one who knows the science of rasa is he's the knower of the taste. And then the Bhagavatam reveals itself in a completely different way. Right? Then we can relish the rasa which is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Or a lot of times when I've talked to devotees and they say, oh, I have completed reading entire Srimad Bhagavatam and I'm satisfied. I don't want to read it again and again, right? So they are done with it, like, reading Bhagavatam one time. But if the rasa aspect is there, you may not move away from 1 or 2 chapters. You want to read that repeatedly. So this rasa jnana is fully capable of appreciating the transcendental sweetness. Hearing transforms the physical sound into spiritual relishment. The heart acts as a receptacle for endless nectar. Right? So why does this happen? So we recently, couple of months back, I had a class on this prana and chitta. And there we learned that, once somebody crosses the stage of nishtha, because that's a barrier. We have the stages of chanting, starting with sadhu sangha, bhajan kriya, ado shraddha, sadhu sangha, bhajan kriya, anartha nivritti. Then comes the stage of nishtha. Unless we are at the stage of nishtha, before that, it'll be all like mundane. The taste will not be there. Right? Because Krishna's spiritual energy descends only after the stage of nishtha. Krishna's samvit and ladini shakti descends directly in the heart as supernatural prana only after the stage of nishtha. So till that, our bhakti practices is dry, like a desert. So somehow or other, we have to cross that stage and come to the stage of nishtha and have faith in the words of our acharyas. Once you come to that stage of nishtha, Krishna will descend directly in our heart at the Krishna's energy, Samvit and Ladini. And the first thing that happens is you'll start seeing Krishna in your heart directly while chanting. This is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Rupa, so we get the nama, right? When we start chanting, we get nama. Then the nama is given to us. And then Rupa, the form is shown to us. Then Leela, Rupa then Guna, then Leela. So these are automatically descending. We don't have to do anything. They descend on their own. When we cross the stage of Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So this is how the practice of Bhakti, when we cross the stage of Anartha Nivritti, then this, like Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavat grahyam indriye, sevan mukhehi jivado. When we do the seva, swayam eva spuradyada. We don't have to try it. It automatically comes. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Chaitamrita is saying that I am not chanting. The chanting is making me speak. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So it actually takes charge of our body, and the devotee just experiences spiritual rasa, and he doesn't know externally what he is doing. This is real bhakti rasa. So one who knows this, the sages of Naimisharanya wants to experience the realization of Suta Goswami. They have heard Bhagavatam earlier, but they want to hear his realization. Because when the speaker who is realized, when they speak, whatever is there in their heart is directly manifested in the heart of the hearers. But one has to be, recipient has to be also proper. We are going to see this later on. So in summary, material objects loses charm over time. They decrease, it decreases with repetition and leads to apathy and emptiness. Whereas spiritual or topics of the Lord, uh, the sweetness is always increasing continuously, and then they produce newer and fresher relish, and never fully satisfied, and eternally we are thirsty. Right? And the example is given about sugar cane and the eternal nectar. Sugar cane, you know, how much juice can you take it out? After a while, all the juice is gone, so it becomes dry. So similarly, the sadhu wants to experience this transcendental bliss at every step. Pade pade. Swadu swadu pade pade. Right. So this is what Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is saying. Now the question is, how do I develop this taste? Right. Because we have heard this from Bhagavad. What is the practical application? How do I do it? So as I said earlier, that one has to come to the stage of Nishtha. Right. And coming to the stage of Nishtha, the biggest hurdle is Anartha Nivritti. Right. However, we do not generally focus on Anartha Nivritti, we focus on Artha Pravritti. When we focus on Artha Pravritti, Anartha Nivritti automatically happens. So, therefore, the statements which is given by Srila Rupa Goswami, Swajatiya Snigde Satovare. We need to seek association of devotees who are Swajatiya, like-minded. Snigde, they are affectionate and they are advanced than us. And by their association, with their association, automatically advancement will happen. However, few things we can still do to make an advancement. So it begins with Ado Shraddha, but the Shraddha keeps increasing. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that the whole journey is the journey of faith. From Sadhu Sangha, Ado Shraddha to Sadhu Sangha to Bhajana Kriya is a journey of faith. The faith is increasing in every steps. Right? So we begin with the Shraddha, and then we practice hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam in association of devotees regularly. And then we seek association of realized devotees. And in their association, this programs happens automatically, naturally. Right? And at the same time, the service mood is also cultivated. Right? So all these things happens. The key factor is association. And we also must know that there are stages, and in each stages of bhakti, what happens, and we should not expect results before we cross those stages. Right? If I'm not seeing the darshan of Krishna while chanting in my heart, indicates I have not crossed Anartha Nivritti. Right? So if we have the knowledge, then we work harder on that, Anartha Nivritti. Then again, hearing from the right source. When the right source gives us the same message, it is more effective. Why? Because they are realizing, and their realization is directly affecting our heart. Right? Bhakti is mostly, it's not a way to collect the information. It's mainly about change of heart. So when we associate with devotees who has, or who is a rasagya, right? Who is a rasagya, when we associate with rasagya devotees, their rasa in their heart transforms within our heart. Right? And I have experienced that, some speakers, when they speak, whatever they are speaking is directly hitting our heart. Right? So, and actually they can show us Krishna directly while they are speaking. So this slide is about hearing from the right source. When you hear from the right source, then those experience we can gain, and we can also relish the same rasa what they are experiencing. However, this analogy is very important to understand that not only the speaker has to be very elevated, but ourselves, who is trying to receive that message, has to be also fertile. Right? So when we join bhakti, our heart is like a rocks of hardness. You see dry land. There is no bhakti, and also there are so many weeds. Right? And when a advanced devotee we come in association with the advanced devotee. That advanced devotee is planting a seed of bhakti in our heart. Right? Now, he doesn't randomly throw the seeds. This is very important. Right? Sometimes we push bhakti on others. He doesn't. He sees what is the capacity of the other person, recipient, and he properly places the seed because he's expert farmer. He knows how to farm or put the seeds properly. So this is what is shown here. Like normally, what I do, I was remembering when I was preparing for this. When I'm putting seeds in my grass, I just randomly throw everything. But an expert will not do that. They will properly put the seeds in proper place. So therefore, when you see the grass, some place there is a bunch of things going. So this is also applicable in bhakti. We force bhakti on others, and that creates the ninth offense. Right? So one has to be very careful in planting those seeds. Right? And this bhakti is nourished by Harikatha. Harikatha acts as a rain. Harikatha is going on everywhere, but for taking the advantage of the rain, one has to be in the proper place where the rain is happening, right? So Harikatha is a life-giving, like a rain. Right? And while we practice bhakti, it also happens that the weeds grow. This is explained in by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini. Taranga Rangini, that's one of the stage. When you advance in bhakti, you will be facilitated by, like I got a garland here, right? Like this. People will start touching your feet. People will serve prasadam to you. People will respect, bow down before you. That creates a pride in the heart. This is called as the stage of Taranga Rangini. You start floating on the top of the ocean, right? And enjoying all those gifts which we are getting. Right? So these are the anarthas, and in the Madhya Lila, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in details how to overcome this, the weeds of anarthas. And when we have overcome this, there are other factors like the fertilizer. So the fertilizer is the speaker's personal realization and the purity of the speaker. Like Srila Prabhupada said, purity is the force. So this acts as a fertilizer. So this is a very beautiful example. And if everything is there, however, the sunlight is not there, so that is Krishna's mercy. Then everything becomes useless. So Krishna's mercy is very important. So when we have all this, the land is fertile, our heart is become pure, then the plants will grow, the garden will grow. And what is the fruit? The fruit is Lila Smriti and Lila Darshan. Lila Smriti means we will be able to remember easily the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And in the later stages of bhakti, starting with Nishtha, you will be able to see the darshan of the Lord directly in our heart. Right? So this is beautiful examples explaining this particular verse where the sages are saying that we are not satisfied with this yoga process. We want to really hear from you Bhagavad Gita, and when you realize the realization which you have in your heart. And we are never satisfied by hearing Harikatha again and again and again. Because we are experiencing this rasa. We are experiencing the rasa chamatkar. Rasa chamatkar is, you understand the word chamatkar? Yeah? Miracle, yeah. So rasa actually produces chamatkar in our heart. This is the intensity of rasa. So Bharat Muni actually gave this Rasa Shastra, and Srila Grupa Goswami, he manifested the spiritual rasa, keeping that book in mind, which was written by Bharat Muni. And he showed what is the experience of this spiritual rasa, he explained in details in the southern section of Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and also later on in Ujjvala Lindamani, where all the interaction of Krishna with the devotees and all the details are given. And when you read that book and then you read Bhagavatam, it's a complete different experience. It's the same book, but now the rasa factor is added. So that is the importance of rasa. And it produced chamatkar in our heart, every moment, every words. Therefore, Mahaprabhu could hear the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj again and again and again and again, and relish each and every moment. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Any comments?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for gracing the
Thank you.
opportunity to give class. I just wanted to thank you in public
No, thank you.
for being one of the foremost teachers of ECC. You brought in the Discover Yourself program to Samamish
Yes, thank you.
from India and gave us the instruction that you heard it 8 times or more before you gave your
7
first
times,
class.
yeah.
7 times. So I took that part seriously. It worked.
Yeah, because every time there was newer and newer realization. That's what I can.
And that has become the foundation of our temple's preaching program.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best thing I did. Actually, I should thank Rantidev Prabhu.
Rantidev Prabhu ki jai.
Yeah. Because one time we were going to My Sweet Lord. I was going with Rantidev Prabhu, and in his car, I heard for half an hour Prabhuji's class, and the Discover Yourself class. Radha Gopinath Prabhu. So far, I have found that version, Radha Gopinath Prabhu's version, is the best. I mean, there are other devotees given, right? Somehow, because first love, right? So then I asked Rantidev Prabhu, can I get the entire series? So he gave me, very mercifully gave me, at those days they were cassettes. So he gave me those cassettes. So then I started hearing on the cassettes, and then I really liked it. I heard second time. Then I said, okay, this is a treasure. And those days CD came in the market. So in CD, the format was MP3. So I had to do research. What is MP3? So it's a long story like that. But however, I want to thank Rantidev Prabhu, who is my Varta Pratyapika Guru, bringing me into Krishna consciousness and introducing me to Radha Gopinath Prabhu. And then my study of Bhagavad Gita became more and more clear. The first verse, I remember of Srila Prabhupada, which I heard, and I liked the tone, right? Matihina Krishne Parata Satava. This is from the 7th canto. I really didn't understand what the meaning of that verse is. Matihina Krishna, because Prabhupada is saying in the Bengali style. I am also Bengali, so I like the word, the way he is speaking, right? Sometimes we hear things we don't understand, but we like the tone. So this is my first verse, and I heard that multiple times, so I remember the verse. Mati in the Krishna Parato Satova. So what point I was trying to tell is that we are introduced into Krishna consciousness in various different ways, and somebody becomes a nimitta matra in our journey. But it's very important that we associate with right people. Like I was fortunate to associate with Rantidev Prabhu, and he brought me closer to Radha Gopinath Prabhu, and then the entire Bhagavad Gita opened up, right? So like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Any questions? Comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a very, very beautiful class, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
As always, the content, the richness of your content is amazing.
It is Srila Prabhupada's content and Acharya's content. I just presented it.
Yeah.
And it's a notebook album.
Hare Krishna. The way you are presenting the content,
Three-
highlighting the essential points. So, Prabhuji, I think in one of the slides you said attentive chanting is the key. That's something I honestly still struggle even after like 10 plus years of being in Krishna consciousness. So any practical tips that you can give? I think you've given some tips already, but anything that you can share based on your realization to help with attentive chanting, Prabhuji? Because I think if that is not there, then progress is very difficult, is what I'm hearing. So please.
So I will repeat what His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj has said, like that this for those 2 hours of practice, you have to practice those 22 hours of preparation. For the 2 hours of chanting, it needs 22 hours of preparation. We have 24 hours, right? Right. So if our mind is not attentive, it's moving around here and there in next previous 22 hours, then it will not be able to focus on the 2 hours. So mind is always distracted, and with the technology, it becomes more and more distracted. Right. I remember, once I decided, okay, I'll not touch WhatsApp till I complete my 16 rounds. No, hold on. I decided. So the first day experience, I'll tell you, like after half of the round, my mind was like pushing me. Right. Because this is how it works, right? It keeps once, like I have problem with Ekadashi in the sense I can fast till 12 o'clock. I don't want to drink water or anything very easily. On day of Ekadashi, right at 6 o'clock in the morning, I need water, right? So mind is pushing like that. When we take something, some kind of vow, it keeps pushing. So the point I'm trying to tell over here, that we have to prepare this 22 hours where we focus on things. And when we are able to control those, then attention becomes a little easier. Of course, all these things are there, right? Like hearing, reading, that will bring it back. However, the attention factor is because those 22 hours we are so distracted. So these 2 hours become distracted. Because mind will behave what it is habituated to. So somehow or other we have to fix that. Keep things simple, You have to simplify. If we want to advance in bhakti, we have to keep it very, very simple. This I like this concept of there are 2 circles, like one is a circle of influence and there is a circle of concern. There are 2 circles. This is influence and this is concern. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's okay, Prabhu, don't worry. Yeah. So, anyway, it's so these 2 circles, if we think like this, this is concern and this is influence. Influence means what you can change. Concern means what is beyond you. This is a fundamental important thing. I found it personally. Most of our time we spend here. Most of our time. If we can somehow focus on this influence, that okay, I can only change this much. Because ultimately we have come here as a controller. We want to control everything. Right? We want to take Krishna's position as controller, proprietor, and enjoy. So concern is I am not able to control it and I want to control it. This is a complete waste of time, right? Somehow throughout the day, if we can focus on this, that will be helpful in getting less distracted. And when we are less distracted throughout the day, we will be less distracted in these 2 hours also. And then of course there are tips and tricks. And one other important thing is Harinam Chintamani by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We generally look for tips and tricks in chanting, right? However, if you look at the literatures of our acharyas, they do not focus I have not come across even a single statement on tips and tricks. They focus on one thing, which is do not cause any anarthas. Because anarthas create disturbances in the mind. So the more we avoid the 10 offenses, in the morning program, the most important thing I find is the 10 offenses of the holy name. Of course, Siksashtakam, everything is important. But for us at this point, those 10 things are blocking our progress in bhakti. So understand those 10 offenses and then try to avoid those offenses as much as possible, starting with Vaishnava Prad. Understand really what is Vaishnava Prad, and so it could be mentally also, right? So when we focus, when we reduce our aparad, automatically the focus will go, because aparads are causing. Aparad is negative bhakti. Aparad is negative bhakti. So let's say we are going from one spot to another spot, is about 50 miles, and in bhakti we have traveled 10 miles. Sin, if you do a sin, you will be in the 10 miles. So this is starting point. This is starting 1, and this is 50. Let's say when we chant, when we come to Mangalarti, we pay obeisances, we do deity service, we cook, clean, everything. Our bhakti points are increasing, our credits are increasing. So let's say we have reached over here to 25 in our journey. Now, when we do a sin because of our swabhav, right? You stay less 25. You don't regress. The thing that happens at the point of sin is our taste for bhakti, we might little bit reduce. Right? Whereas aparad means negative bhakti. So you are going backwards now. So out of 25 now you came to like 15. Right? And then you gradually keep going back. So these aparads are the deadly things. And one has to, therefore Mahaprabhu says, it's Hatimata. It's like an elephant, mad elephant entering into a garden and destroying, uprooting the entire garden. Meaning, the whatever bhakti credits we have accumulated, it's all gone. So they have to be very careful with the aparads. So what are those 10 aparads? That is given, aparad number 1, right, to 10. But we need to understand those, what is the meaning. Of course, it's there in English, but you need to understand the Sanskrit, because in Sanskrit, it has even deeper meaning. Right? Like yesterday I was talking to Prabhu, right, about the second offense. Right? So there is a word which is dhiya bhinnam. Right? Dhiya bhinnam. Now this dhiya bhinnam can be separated into two. Sanatana Goswami says it can be separated into two parts. Dhiya bhinnam, dhiya abhinnam. Means one who considers Lord Shiva as completely equal, or Lord Shiva is completely same as Lord Vishnu, or Lord Shiva is completely non-different than Lord Vishnu. Both are aparadhis. So those deeper meanings of the 10 offenses is really important. And then when we understand that, once first step is understanding. Once you understand, we start practicing in our life. And then gradually our anarthas will go, anartha nivritti will happen. So my point is, our acharyas are not focusing on tips and tricks. Our acharyas, especially Harinam Chintamani, if you read, is originally Harinam Chintamani was the notes of Sri Haridas Thakur. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur collected all those notes, and then he presented, and he removed out all the weeds from the notes, because there were some weeds, and then presented this book Harinam Chintamani. So Sri Harinam Chintamani explains all these things, that one has to avoid those 10 offenses. And the 11th offense he added, which is your question. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. That was your question. Yeah. So this inattention happens because of aparad. It is not because, of course, we do other things also which distracts, but the root cause is aprad. So we need to get rid of the aprads at the as quick as possible. This is a very important question. That's why I spend a lot of time answering this. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Can I ask Prabhu one question?
Yes, yes, please.
Prabhu, during the Tulsi Aarti, we saying that Vrindaya Tulsi Devya Apiya Keshav Seja Vishnu Bhakti Brahdevi. It means Vrinda Devi can give Tulsi Bhakti. And then we also saying Yani Kani Chapapani. Means just by circumambulating, our sins are getting eradicated. So, and on one side we are saying anartha nivriti concept that we have to need. So, how do they relate? For example, because these simple physical activities also are anarthas or our sins can be removed.
Mm-hmm.
So, how I'm not able to read because this is very high statement that even just by circumambulating Brahma Hatya sin can be to that level it can, and our simple we are not able to advance in bhakti. Simple sins are there and they are not getting eradicated.
Yeah.
So, is that not working, or we have so many sins? It's a pile of sins that it may take lifetime to even circumambulate.
In fact, you read other literature will say that even just bowing down, so many sins are gone. Or if you just clap, like when we are clapping, our sins are gone. So then why the behaviors are same? Because the answer is very simple. These are all anarthas because the result of anarthas. Anarthas are difficult to take it out because anarthas are negative bhakti. Sins are easily gone. Anartha doesn't go away. Why? Because anartha is connected with our swabhav, our conditioned nature. Swabhav Krishna doesn't remove. Krishna in the end of Bhagavad Gita says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. You just surrender unto me, I will take care of all your sins. He is not saying I will take care of your anarthas. There's a big difference between sin and anartha. To understand that, we need to understand the 10 offenses which we chant every morning. That's why I said, in the morning, those 10 offenses is the critical for us. Anarthas don't go away. It's very difficult. And anarthas, we have to understand what is anartha. Even seeing a Vaishnava, if you are not becoming happy, it is anartha. Does it happen? When we see many devotees, we don't become happy, isn't it? In case they cause distress in our heart. Right. So, in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it is written that there are 6 ways in which this aparad happens, Vaishnava aparad. So these aparads, there are seva aparad, there is dham aparad. All these aparad, one has to study very sincerely, understand them, and avoid them in life, and understand what is aparad, what is not aparad, what is Vaishnava aparad, what is not. Sometimes we say, oh, if we say something right, it is going to hurt the feeling. Yeah, of course, it is going to hurt the feeling. But when we express it properly and explain them, we have explained or given our reasoning why we are doing this, then you have done your part. That is not an anartha. Point over here is when understanding what is aparad, especially Vaishnava aparad. This is aparads are given 10 aparads, but then Srila Sanatan Goswami specifically expands one aparad as Vaishnava aparad, and then he gives 6 categories of Vaishnava aparad, in which one of the thing is that if I see somebody, I become unhappy. That's aparad. Now that is going to cause something in your heart which will hamper your bhakti, which will not allow you to progress in your bhakti. So sins are gone. Sins are easily taken care. Just by seeing the Lord, actually, so many sins are gone. But aparads are not gone. Because you have to work on that. Aparad is touching your conditioning, which is your swabhav, your innate nature. that you have to remove. Krishna will not remove it. The result of that Krishna will remove to some extent. Yes, Babu, again, can. Hmm.
So why by bowing down to Vrinda Devi can give us Krishna Bhakti. It means she can also eradicate our aparadhas. So,
She can eradicate. No, she won't.
but how will
Bec-
she give Krishna Bhakti then?
No, we are the blocker. Because of my aparadhs, I am the blocking point. See, if I see I'm just giving a very simple example. If I see a devotee and I feel frustrated, why this devotee has come in the Mangalarti? This is my heart. Vrinda Devi is ready to give, but my heart is blocking it. What is aparadh? I am not becoming happy by seeing a devotee. So I am not eligible to be in Vrinda Devi's dham, which is a Golok Vrindavan dham. There every devotee is happy, not happy. They are blissful seeing other devotees. So I am not qualified to go there. So first I have to clean that tendency of, this is just an example I am giving, that I become unhappy by seeing some devotees. This is anartha in my heart. And then when that anartha is there, I am not eligible. That envy is there in my heart. So Vrinda Devi is ready to give, but I am not ready. My heart is blocking.
But Prabhu, there are many stories. For example, with Jagai Madhai,
Mhm.
Lord Chaitanya immediately removed all that, and they got into bhakti. So they might have a lot
Yeah,
of anarthas.
those are special cases.
Lord gave that. Lord
Yeah.
cleared that
Mm.
anarthas.
Yeah. There are special cases, mercy cases, but it's not for everybody. We can expect, but it may happen, it may not happen. This is because that's the Lord's will. Let's say you have $100,000. I come to you and I say, Prabhu, this $100,000 is sitting in your bank doing nothing. Can you give me like $10,000? Now it's I am asking, but it's your choice. Similarly, Vrinda Devi is a person. It is her choice whether she wants to give it. She may give, she may not give. But we expect. So,
How to get in that list? Exception list.
no, it's a person, right? See, you have to understand, Krishna is a person. I am a person. Vrinda Devi is a person. You cannot force on a person that you do this. It is their choice. Can anybody force on you doing anything? No. Same way as Vrinda Devi, She's a person. Any other Mataji?
So, Prabhu, how to increase the Shraddha?
Shraddha.
Shraddha, faith.
Easiest way to increase Shraddha is those who have Shraddha, we associate with them, we get their qualities, and we pray to them. Like certain qualities we don't have, like for example, quality of compassion I don't have. Then we find a devotee who has compassion, we pray to them, we seek their blessings, we request them to pray to the Supreme Lord that I don't have these qualities, you have it. Please pray for me. Right. Our devotional life works on the basis of mercy. We are all mercy candidate. We don't have power to do anything on our own. So therefore, we pray to them, we request them, whatever qualities they have, then we pray to them, and then they actually shower us. They give the blessing.
Which is the Swabhav. Swabhav is not easy to change.
Yeah, it's a cultivation. Cultivation means we have to identify. Therefore, you have to have some devotees who are very close to you and who are not judgmental, who are very close to you, who are not judgmental, like Swajatiya, Snigdhe. They are very affectionate to you. They are like-minded, they are affectionate, and they are advanced. They may or may not be advanced. But when we associate with those devotees and we reveal ourselves and we know for sure that they are not going to judge me on the basis of this, we open up, and then when they actually guide us, okay, we take these steps. So therefore, very important to find those association.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Nice class.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kipasindhavech patitanam pavanavashnam. Thank you, thank you.
यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबारो नागर गोकुल रंजन काना यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबारो नागर गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परन धन मदन मनोवर गोपी परन धन मदन मनोवर कालिया दामन विधाना कालिया दामन विधाना अमल हरि नाम अमिय विलासा अमल हरि नाम अमिय विलासा विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नागर बर विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नागर बर वंशी बदान सुवासा वंशी बदान सुवासा ब्रज जन पालन असुरकुल नाशन ब्रज जन पालन असुरकुल नाशन नंद गोधन रखवाला नंद गोधन रखवाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला सुंदर नंद गोपाल यमुना तट चर गोपी वसन हर रस रसिका कृपा मोया यमुना तट चर गोपी वसन हर रस रसिका कृपा मोया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवर श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवर भक्ति विनोद श्राया भक्ति विनोद श्राया हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Nil Madhav, Radha Nil Madhav, Shri Radhe. Jai Radha Nil Madhav, Radha Nil Madhav, Shri Radhe. Jai Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai. Jai Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai. Jai Jagannatha Baladeva Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Sudarshana. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha.
Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha.
Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram.